barbed wire, watchtowers, re-education, brainwashing, cameras and algorithms. Today I want to inform you about the historical evolution of communist systems of control, from Soviet labor camps to modern surveillance technologies. The systems we will examine today are not relics of the past. Understanding how authoritarian governments evolve methods of surveillance, coercion, and thought control helps us recognize the warning signs before history repeats itself. Most kids watched cartoons. I watched the History Channel, the Military Channel, and I read history books. I have a lifelong passion for history. And so today I want to quickly touch on the origins, the present day, and the evolution of labor camps, re-education camps, and thought control. The Soviet Union's Gulag system was one of history's largest forced labor systems. Gulags had two main functions: free economic production through forced labor, and to eliminate peasants, independent thinkers, and political opposition. The objective was never simply punishment. It was the destruction of independent thought and opposition. Prisoners were trapped in sub-zero Arctic temperatures with nothing but tattered clothing and inadequate shelter. This led to mass frostbite, amputations, and freezing deaths. Survival was often measured in months rather than years. In the 2013 academic journal called Survival in the Soviet Gulags, a secondary analysis, it says it is estimated that 22.5 million people were placed in these labor camps, and at least 1.6 million perished in these camps, according to the Stalin Project. Although the Soviet Gulag became the blueprint, communist governments would later refine these methods in new ways. Communist labor camps still exist in the present day. China has just rebranded them from forced labor into re-education. Over 1 million people have been detained without formal charges or trials, placed into these camps because of their political, religious, cultural, or linguistic identity. Inside these facilities, detainees are forced to renounce Islam, learn Mandarin, and sing songs praising the ruling Communist Party under threat of physical violence. The walls remain, but the mission has expanded. The goal is no longer simply forced labor. It is complete ideological conformity. In the 2021 peer-reviewed academic journal by International Research and Review called Our Collective Failure, why the international community has not intervened to protect China's Uyghur Muslims, it says, today as many as 2 million Uyghurs, a predominantly Muslim Turkish ethnic minority group in China's northwest Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region, have been arbitrarily detained in highly secretive government-run mass detention centers. Our collective failure also goes on to say, these detention centers have been linked to the concentration camps of Nazi Germany, and satellite imagery, leaked government documents, and the testimony from released Uyghur detainees have revealed numerous accounts of torture, starvation, brainwashing, organ harvesting, sexual harassment, and even executions occurring inside the camps. Concrete walls, algorithms, and data, the physical prison has become a seamless system of thought control. The evolution of thought control, well, China has expanded beyond prison camps and a nationwide network of digital monitoring. Artificial intelligence, behavioral surveillance designed to encourage conformity before dissent ever occurs. Concrete walls are no longer the only instruments of control. Today, algorithms, cameras, and digital records can shape behavior long before a prison sentence ever is imposed. The architecture of thought control has evolved from guarded compounds to what is essentially an open-air prison. China's social credit score ecosystem collects enormous amounts of personal data, including financial activity, online behavior, transportation records, and public conduct. They use this information to evaluate trustworthiness and influence access to everyday opportunities. Hundreds of millions of AI-assisted cameras, facial recognition systems, biometric databases, and smartphone monitoring creates an environment where citizens already assume that they're being watched. This helps to shape behavior through continuous observation rather than physical imprisonment. The 2019 Fortune.com periodical titled China banned 23 million people from traveling last year for poor social credit scores. It says, China's National Public Credit Information Center on Friday released a report that said it stopped 17.5 million people from buying airplane tickets and 5.5 million from hopping on a train in 2018 because they had low social credit scores. Today we quickly touched on the historical origins of communist labor camps, their present-day existence as re-education camps, and the evolution into technology-driven systems of surveillance and thought control. Barbed wire and watchtowers, re-education and brainwashing, cameras and algorithms. History teaches us that authoritarian control rarely disappears. It adapts, it modernizes, and it continues to challenge the freedom of the human mind. History does not look back at these camps as failed experiments. It watches them today, operating in broad daylight, waiting to see if the world will look away again.